Hi everybody, it's Harvard lawyer Lee. In 2005, Scott Peterson was convicted of murdering his wife and unborn son and sentenced to death. He spent nearly 20 years on death row, but now he may get a new trial. Who is Scott Peterson? And how is he going to get a new trial? Well, welcome to the channel. I'm Lee Wallace. I've been a trial lawyer for more than 25 years. This channel is about the intersection between life and law. While he was at California Polytechnic, Scott Peterson worked at a restaurant. One night he met Laci at the restaurant and she made the first move. After 2 years, they moved in together, and then when she graduated, they got married. In 2002, Scott and Laci Peterson had been married 5 years. By Christmas time that year, Laci was 7.5 months pregnant, and the Petersons were expecting a little boy they had decided to call Connor. Scott says that he left Laci making Christmas cookies at 9:30 a.m. that morning. He initially told police he went to play golf, which is the same story Scott had told Laci's sister the day before. He later said he went fishing at Berkeley Marina, about 90 miles from the Petersons' home, using a boat no one knew he had purchased. Scott says that when he returned that evening, Laci was gone. The table was set for family dinner the next night. Her keys and wallet were still at the house. Either Scott or his father-in-law called the police to report that Laci was missing. Police responded to the scene where they found a phone book on a kitchen counter lay open to a full-page ad for a defense lawyer. Detectives said Peterson was nonchalant. Initially, Scott Peterson's in-laws defended him, and Scott denied having had any affairs. But police later concluded that Scott Peterson had had 2 affairs during his marriage to Laci. He was in the throes of a 3rd affair when Laci disappeared. Scott Peterson met massage therapist Amber Fry on November 20th, 2002, when Laci was 7 months pregnant. Fry says Peterson claimed he was single. She began to suspect he was married and confronted him on December 9th, 3 weeks into the relationship. Scott doubled down on the story, saying he had lost his wife and it would be his first holiday without her. Despite the fact that he quickly became a suspect in Laci's disappearance, Scott did several interviews with the media in which he made emotional pleas for help finding Laci. He was filmed putting up missing person posters. On ABC, Diane Sawyer interviewed Scott Peterson, and Peterson told the world that he was innocent and that he didn't murder Laci and wasn't yet willing to believe she was dead. Her body had not yet been found. He acknowledged he was a suspect, but said he had never hit her and that he believed violence against women was a disgusting act. He said he never hit her or injured Laci. Amber Fry held a press conference laying out the timeline. Scott Peterson insisted he was glad she came forward and that he in fact had lied to her that he was not married. Amber Fry said she found out about Laci from the news, while Scott said he told her. Scott claimed he told Laci about the affair in early December. Diane Sawyer asked the pivotal question, do you really expect people to believe that an 8.5-month pregnant woman learns her husband is having an affair and is saintly and casual about it, accommodating, makes a peace with it? He called his marriage glorious and said they took care of each other very well. She was amazing. Scott's family stood staunchly behind him, telling Diane Sawyer that it was impossible that Scott Peterson could have killed Laci because, his father said, he's the gentlest soul I think I've ever known. Diane Sawyer asked Scott Peterson about a neighbor who supposedly had seen him loading something into his car. Scott claimed he was loading market umbrellas. The interviews were polarizing. Many people thought he sounded sincere, and they concluded he must not have killed her. Other people believed the interviews were self-serving acting. Police were unable to locate Laci or her unborn child until 4 months later when the police recovered 2 bodies near where Scott Peterson had gone fishing. On April 13, 2003, a couple was walking their dog near Richmond's Point Isabel Regional Shoreline Park when they spotted a very small baby body that was decomposing in the marshy area at the shore. The autopsy report was sealed, but an AP source said the fetus had a significant cut and nylon tape wrapped around the neck. A day later, another park goer found the torso of a recently pregnant woman about a mile away, The torso was missing the head, arms, most of the legs, and internal organs. DNA tests confirmed the bodies were of Laci and her son. Police brought in sonar equipment to find handmade concrete anchors that they believed had been used to weigh down Laci's body, but they didn't find any. Police nabbed Scott Peterson in San Diego and found some suspicious evidence that convinced them he had been about to flee to Mexico. His hair was dyed blonde, and his Mercedes-Benz was filled with survival gear, camping equipment, $15,000 in cash, 4 cell phones, several changes of clothes, and both his brother's and his driver's license. And for some reason, 12 Viagra tablets. Scott claimed he was innocent. The only forensic evidence that the police had was a single hair from Laci stuck to pliers found on Peterson's boat. But after Laci went missing, Scott took several steps that would come back to haunt him. He added 2 pornographic channels to his cable service days after his wife disappeared. He traded in her Land Rover for a pickup truck. He turned the baby room into a storage area. He expressed interest in selling their house. Police said all of those facts meant Scott was not expecting Laci or Connor to be coming home. Amber Fry agreed to record her conversations with Scott Peterson, and the state played 12 hours of the taped conversations at trial, where Amber Fry was the star witness. Trial lasted an astonishing 5.5 months, after which Peterson was found guilty. The sentencing penalty phase took another 4 months. Scott Peterson was sentenced to die by lethal injection. Scott Peterson sat on death row at San Quentin for 20 years as the appeal of his sentence wound its way through the courts. In 2020, the California Supreme Court upheld his conviction, but overturned his death sentence because the trial judge had dismissed jurors who had said they were opposed to the death penalty without asking them whether they could put their views aside. On December 8, 2021, Peterson was resentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Prosecutors considered retrying the penalty phase, but ultimately decided not to, so Scott Peterson is no longer subject to the death penalty. He was moved off death row. Scott Peterson's team is now requesting a new trial. Now, why would Scott Peterson get a new trial? That's a wild story all its own. Peterson alleges juror misconduct that is something right out of a John Grisham novel. They argue that juror number 7, Richelle Nice, lied on the juror questionnaire in order to get on the jury. Peterson's team claims that Nice was convinced in advance, before trial, that Scott had murdered his wife and unborn child, and she wanted on the jury to ensure he would be convicted. Peterson's team notes that Nice failed to reveal that she herself had been a victim of domestic violence and had obtained a restraining order against someone threatening her own unborn child. Nice wrote a book, We the Jury, about the trial. Peterson's team says she also wrote Peterson 17 letters while he was in prison. While the letters had different topics, they say all of them referred to Little Man, which was Nice's personal nickname for Scott Peterson's unborn child. Click this button right here to find out more.